Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Starter Administrator Training for Jazz HR. If this is your first part in the onboarding process, I want to welcome you to Jazz HR. And today we're going to be going over some of the basics within your Jazz HR account, such as going over the general layout and interface to show you where you could locate different things within the account. The dashboard, which is an overview of everything that's currently going on within your company's account. We're going to go over the creation of workflows and then adding workflow helpers to those workflows to kind of help you automate things a little bit. And also the job creation and the jobs page, where we can go over creating a job within the account, attaching a workflow which we have created to that so that we could have this as a standard process for moving all candidates through the workflow. And then finally, going to go over actually screening and searching for candidates so I could show you what it's like moving candidates through these workflows which we have created. I want to point out some support resources that we have. Success.jazz.co is our knowledge base, which has a lot of great articles on any how-tos within your Jazz HR account. You could also email support@jazz.co to submit a ticket to our support team, who would be happy to answer any questions you may have. The Need Help button, which is in-app, which I'll show you from the dashboard page. And there's also the question circle at the top of the page, which is another link out to our knowledge base. And we also do recommend that everyone attend our monthly deep dive webinars, as these are a great resource of diving into any specifics within your Jazz HR account. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. So you'll see here that whenever I first log into Jazz HR, I'm on the dashboard page, which is the overview of everything which is going on within the account. You'll see here that I have this drop down here for the last 7 days. I could actually choose from the last 14 days or 30 days of any of this information for the number of jobs open, number of new candidates, candidates advanced, etc. And you'll see front and center here, my open jobs, which will be all of the open jobs which you are on the hiring team for. And if you wanted to search for a specific job, you could just start typing that out, and you'll see that my list has then filtered down. You'll see the watch list here for any candidates or jobs which you wanted to have quick access to, and I'll go over that whenever we are on a candidate's profile. My inbox for any communications between you and candidates, or also any @mentions between you and your colleagues, which we'll also go over that on the candidate's profile. Any upcoming interviews you may have scheduled within Jazz, and also any incomplete tasks that you have, and the latest activity here as well. And as I continue to scroll down, you'll see that I have some frequently asked questions, what's new in Jazz for any major product updates, and also links out to our other webinars, such as the new user webinar and the advanced administrator webinar as well. So these are all on demand. And on the right-hand side, you'll see this Need Help icon, which I could click this to go ahead and look for any articles that are within our knowledge base. Or I could also scroll down here to submit a support ticket to the support team. Now, on the top bar, you'll see here, this is the dashboard, the jobs, which are going to be all of the jobs within your Jazz HR account, all of the candidates. The people page is for all of the internal users of your Jazz account. The reports, which are actually gone over in the advanced administrator webinar. In the admin section, here's another link to the watch lists, your tasks, the calendar page, and your inbox. And this is the link that goes directly out to our knowledge base. This is a quick search. And this icon here goes to our Jazz Crowd feature, which is actually a pretty cool feature that has some data on some just big data analytics within your account. You could click your initials here in the top right to edit your profile within Jazz, any account information, and also any billing information from here as well. But we're going to jump over onto the admin section, where we're going to go over the hiring workflows within your Jazz HR account. So with the workflows, it's kind of a good idea to have these ironed out before you start creating jobs within your account, because with this, whenever you create a workflow, you then have the option to attach that workflow template onto a job within Jazz. So with this, you can either have a workflow that's standard across all jobs within the account. You could have a workflow that is department specific, like we have this customer success workflow right here, or also maybe you have a manager specific workflow where a specific hiring manager has their own process that they want to move the candidates through. So it's really up to you how you would like to have that set up. And with here as well, you'll see if I click this drop down here, you have the option to make it the default selection for a workflow for whenever you're creating jobs. You can rename them, you could clone them, archive, or also delete them. And if I just click this link here, where it showed used by one job, I'll see the job which this specific workflow is actually on. Now, if I want to create a workflow, all I do is I go up and click this green button here. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. So we are going to be hiring for a product manager, and I'm going to have this as a position-specific workflow that I feel that I need to create. So I click this Create button. And then now you'll see here that I have these various stages, which this is just some pretty basic default stages, which we just give you at first, but you could go ahead and you'll see here that any new candidates that either apply or are added to the job will be in this new status. These purple statuses here are the active stages, which you are actively working with the candidate and moving them through your hiring process. Your hired dispositions, and also the not hired dispositions for candidates which you are looking to reject. So with this, like I mentioned earlier, there are just some pretty basic stages here. Now say for this screen, I want to rename this to Hiring Manager screen. I could just go ahead and save this. And maybe for this interview here, I want to rename this to a phone interview. I'll just go ahead and save that. And if I want to add any other stages here, I just click this plus new stage button. And after the phone interview, I want to bring them in for an in-person interview. So I'll just add this stage. And I also feel that I need a background check as well. Now with this, if I need to reorder the stages at all, I just go up here and click this reorder button. And then now all I do is drag and drop. So that looks good, and the background check looks to be at a good stage as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now with the hired dispositions, these look fine, but for our not hired dispositions, we kind of recommend to have some different reasons for why you are rejecting candidates. So then later on when you're running reports or you're just looking at a job in general, you could see why you are rejecting some of these candidates just to have a better idea into this. So with this, maybe for this not hired, let's go ahead and rename this to not a fit, as we feel that this status is for a candidate who just might not be a good fit for the organization at all. And then let's add a new disposition for location. And also another one for salary expectation too high. So now that I have these outlined and all of my stages look good, I want to go over what we call workflow helpers, which is the way to kind of automate some of your normal manual processes within your Jazz account. So here for the hiring manager screen, I'm going to add, you have here the options for your workflow helpers: a task, an email, an interview, and a questionnaire. So I'm going to add a task here. And then since this stage is for the hiring manager to screen the candidate, let's say we're going to have them review resume and mention HR with notes. Now these tasks are completely customizable. This title could be whatever you would like. And the notes are just for any extra notes that you feel that the person receiving the task would need in order to complete that. And then here you're going to choose who you would be assigning this to. So to select now, this is going to automatically select one of these choices here. The individual triggering the task is the person who actually moved the candidate to that stage. The hiring manager will be the hiring manager for this position. Or you could assign this to the hiring team as a whole. You also have the option to select when triggered, which will populate a list of different users within the account, which you could actually assign this to if you wanted to assign this to specific people, such as individuals who could see the job or individually select hiring team members. So I click Add Task. Now, anytime a candidate is moved to this stage, it's going to prompt me to assign this to specific hiring team members on this job. Now, for this phone interview stage, I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to add an interview guide for an initial phone screen. You'll see a preview of this here, and I add the interview. Now, when I move a candidate to this stage, he's going to have this phone screen interview guide template already populated on his interviews tab within his candidate profile. Now, for these other stages, maybe I want to add an email here for this offer, which these emails can go out to internal users or also going out to candidates. So maybe I'll add a candidate was hired here and choose recipients of the hiring team, and I'll add this email. So now that I have this here, another common email to be sent out would be the rejection letter. So this is a great way that you could actually choose, I'm going to choose the recipient as the candidate, and this is a great way to have this kind of automated within your company's hiring process. To anytime I move a candidate to this not a fit stage, it's going to prompt me to send out this rejection letter to a candidate, and I can actually schedule this up to 7 days in advance, which I'll actually go over whenever we're actually screening candidates. So now that I have this workflow created, I'm going to jump over into the jobs page where I can show you where you can start creating the jobs now that I have this workflow template created. So within the jobs page, you'll see here that I have all of my jobs, which I could see within the account. I have some actions here where I can add candidates, I could advertise the job, I could clone the job, etc. So with this, since we're looking to create a job, I'm going to click this Create Job button in the top here. So you'll see here that I have these different tabs which are currently locked, as I need to go ahead and complete this first posting tab before I can move on to the next stages here. Now with the job title, you're going to want to make sure that you keep this kind of concise. We've heard from our job board partners that they like a job title to be somewhere under like 3 or less words. So with this, you'll see when I start to type out this job title, I actually have some drop-down options here from just some data that we've had over the years through various customers. And with this, since I'm looking for the product manager, I'll just choose this from the drop-down here. And here's where you have the option to choose the hiring workflow template. And just note with this is the only time when you actually have the option to choose the template when you're creating the job. So I'm going to choose our product manager template, which we have already created. And you click this eyeball icon here to view the stages and just make sure that you have everything correct before moving on and actually creating the job. So everything looks good here. Now, if I go down here, you'll see that I have the option to select a department or business unit. Now, if I start to type in again, you'll see that I have some options here for, I'm going to choose the product team. And you could have an internal job code here as well, which you could run reports on later. And like I mentioned, the reports are done within the advanced admin webinar, but just note that you can have an internal job code here. You could choose the employment type, and you'll see anything with a pink asterisk is required to move on with the job creation process. So here I'm going to choose the minimum experience. And now here is where I'm going to edit in the job description. So with this, we have this editor here where you can add in any formatting options here as well. And if you needed to edit this with HTML, you would use this button here to go to a source. But with this, we have some guidelines here on this link to just help for just some basic guidelines with syndicating out to free job boards. And also here you can add a job template if you needed some assistance with just going in and editing this. You can see that there's some main parts here which our job board partners have kind of outlined, which they're looking for in all job descriptions, where they're kind of looking for a job overview, a summary of the position, the responsibilities, and some different qualifications for those who would actually be considered for the positions. And you could also add any benefits and perks if you see fit here. Now, as I scroll down here, you'll see that I'm going to edit in the location information for this job posting. Now with this, you're just going to want to just note some of this text here that's on the side, noting that most free job boards won't accept the job postings that don't include a city, state, and postal code. Now this goes for most of the free job boards which you're going to be syndicating out to. So just make sure when you're doing this to mark down that you do have this defined location. And I do have the zip code here. Now you do have the option to make this say that you have a telecommute or work from home position, but this also is just going to note that this will probably not go out to the free job boards. Now if I select this and I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that we actually give you warnings within the app, just noting just some of this basic information here of showing why this job may get rejected by some free job boards. But if I go up and turn this off, you'll see that that warning has been removed. Now up here, I do have some sensitive data where this is just for internal data for admins to view this section. And if you did want to change this, there is a setting on admin, and if I'm the account owner, you'll see admin privileges, but I'm actually not the account owner on this account. But you would be able to see that, where you would be able to change this so that you could have some users see the sensitive information on the job. So this is just for internal use only, and you would just be able to type in a salary range. You could add the EEO questions here as well. And just make sure that you have the right compliance date. And you also have the option to have any internal notes on this posting. And down here on this exposure area, you'll see that I have these options here for the free job syndication. It's defaulted to yes to be turned on. And you could also have this turned off for the careers website. A good use for this is if you had an internal posting that you didn't want somebody to see, and maybe somebody currently works in that position and you wanted to turn that off. That would be a good use case for that. But typically you're going to want to have all of these on, and the public search is to hide the company name. And if I turn this off, you'll see that I do get another warning here that it might get rejected by the free job boards, because the free job boards want you to have the company name shown so that it's not deceiving to candidates. So I'm just going to leave that back on. And I have the option now to create and publish job or save as draft and continue. So I'm going to save this as a draft. And now on this application page, this is where you are going to have built out your application for this position. You'll see I have this application preview on the left. And on the right side, we have some common questions which are commonly asked through the application process. So you see you have all of these options here. And if I want to add one, say this LinkedIn profile question, the left column is going to add that to the application, and the right is going to make it a required question for them to continue with the application. Now, if I scroll down, you'll see that I have this LinkedIn profile URL question, which has been added. So you can feel free to add any of these other common questions here as well. Now, if you do not have a question on here that you are looking to have answered on the initial application, we do give you the option to attach a questionnaire template onto a job. So then you could have this customized application for whatever questions you may need for this position. So with this, I could select this drop down here and select a currently created questionnaire, or I could also create one just on the fly. So I'll create a questionnaire here. It'll just give this a name. And since this is on the job application, I don't need an introduction for this questionnaire. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the questions. So from here, I just click this green Add Question button. And I have the option to have my question text and the answer type. So for the answer types, you have the option for a single line text, which is a short response. Paragraph text for something a little bit more open-ended. A drop down if you want to have specific responses that the candidate has to choose one from. A number for a strictly numerical answer. A date. Checkboxes if you need to have them select multiple choices. Or also this file upload option if you need them to upload another file for the application process. So for this, I'm going to choose a drop down. And I'm just going to ask if they could work within a team environment. And for these answer choices, I'm going to have yes and no. And for this, if you need this to be a required question, just check this box here, add the question. And then now that I have this questionnaire template created, I can feel free to either add any other questions or go ahead and save and add this to the job. So now that you see that I do have this question, which I've just added right here, and everything looks good with this, so I'm going to go down and save the job. And I'm going to go over onto the workflow tab. Now, since we already have this workflow template created from within the admin section, it's currently locked onto this product manager template, and any edits to this would be done through the admin section here. And you would just go in and make any edits to this, which would reflect onto the job or any other jobs that would have this template on there. If you did, for some reason, want to break the link between that template, you could click this actions drop down and click unlock from template. But you'll notice when I do that, it gives me a warning saying this cannot be undone. So just note that. We kind of recommend that you have these locked onto the templates and just make any edits just easily from the admin section. So since everything is good with this, let's go over onto the hiring team. So I have just myself here as the hiring manager on the job. So if I wanted to add somebody, I would just click on here, and I'm going to add Bob Berger, and then maybe my colleague, Randy Blatt, as well. Now, if I do not want to be the hiring manager, say that I want Bob Berger to be a manager, I click this drop down here, and I can either have the option to make a hiring manager or remove from a hiring team as well. Now, if somebody is not a user of Jazz, but you wanted to have them added to the system, all I would need to do is go to the people page, and I could go ahead and click this green button here to add a person. You would select the role, which is administrator, user, or recruiter. So the administrator is somebody who can access the reports in the admin section and change any of the templates. So just note that if you're looking to add somebody as an administrator, they do have the option of changing some of the templates within the account, and they could see all candidates in all jobs. So just note that when you are adding somebody as an administrator. The recruiter is on the opposite end, where this is for an external recruiter, where they have very stripped down privileges since this is for somebody that's external to your organization. So just note that any recruiter is going to only see the candidates which they have actually added to the system themselves. The user is somebody that can see the jobs which they are on the hiring team for. And they'll also just be able to see, that's if you have the setting to hide that. But if you have them as all users could see all candidates, then they'll be able to see all candidates. So with this, all you need to do is type in somebody's first and last name and their email address and add the person. And then they'll be added to the account, and they'll have an email sent to this email address with their login information. They'll just need to confirm that, and they'll be good to go. So you'll see here that if I wanted to add somebody, I could just easily type in their name and add another person. And you see that I have this checked here to only the hiring team can see this job and its candidates. So if somebody is on a user level account, and they are not on this hiring team, they're not going to be able to see the job or its candidates. Now that I have all of this set up, everything looks good with the job, and I'm going to move this into the open status here. So now that I have this published, I could go over onto the advertising tab within a job, and I could actually purchase paid sponsored ads onto these different premium boards. So we currently have this going out to the free boards, but we do have a lot of options here for different paid boards. These are currently grayed out. As you can see, there's no credit card added to the account, and that is because our finance team does not like us purchasing fake job advertisements for these different premium boards. But if you did have a credit card on your account, these would just be available for you to just click purchase, and you'll see here that from LinkedIn, for example, this is going to give you a 30-day listing on their service. So you have all of these options, and then you could scroll down and also see the free boards, which it is going to as well. And here's another toggle for that if you wanted to turn that on or off. We also have the option, if we do not syndicate out to a free board that you're looking to post to, maybe you're looking to post onto a college university website, you can click this create job link button here. And you have the option to use no source tracking, but we kind of recommend you use this option too to have a source track. So if you're looking to get a job board link, you could select that from this drop down. Say I'm looking for Craigslist, and I have this link already here, which is going to track that source, but maybe I want to use a custom source for ABC University. And you'll see that it populates this link here. Now, you would just use this as the link to direct candidates to the posting, and this is going to track all candidates coming from the source with this specific source which you have typed in. So now that we have all of this set up, I'm going to go back onto the jobs page where we're going to go into candidate profile and screening. Okay, now as I'm on here, you'll see that I do have these numbers from the total number of candidates, the job status when it was created, and you'll also see that you have numbers of new candidates, active, etc. So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to go into this waste management professional position. Now, while you're on this page, you see that you have some different options here. From here's another link to the advertise, refer, or get analytics on a job. And you'll see some different job information, such as the status, if it's syndicated to free boards, and who the hiring manager is, any watch candidates, interviews, tasks, or candidates with offers in this position. You also have some quick options here if maybe I want to add this job to the watch list, you want to clone the job, etc. And then on this area here, front and center, you'll see that you have some numbers of the candidates, the total, the new, active, and for these active stages, if I want to search for a specific stage, I could do that from here. Also from the not hired as well, or the hired. So since I'm just looking for new candidates to screen, I'm going to just filter by new. And I'm going to click into Omar's profile here. You'll see here that it's going to show that this is a new candidate. You'll see when they have applied, some basic information such as their location, phone number, email, their source. And you have the option here to click this drop down if you needed to edit their profile, hide a candidate from everyone who's not an admin, if you wanted to watch a candidate, etc. Now you'll see here, front and center, I have the candidate's profile, which is going to have their resume here, followed by the cover letter, their candidate information, and if I needed to edit any of this information, if say I got some information later, I just click edit profile, add that in, and then click save. And as I scroll up here, you'll see that I have an option to see any other jobs that the candidate has applied for, any categories, which we'll go over when we go over searching, but this is a great way to tag candidates, any documents that they've uploaded, their questionnaires, and to view these responses, I'm just going to click this eyeball icon here to view all of these responses. Any upcoming events, and any incomplete tasks. And you'll see here that there's a green plus icon next to all of these. And this is a way that you could just easily add an event, task, or any other options that you have as below. So since we have gone over Omar's profile and everything looks good, let's go ahead and use this option here to advance the candidate. You do have this option here as well to vote, but everything looks good, so let's just go ahead and advance him. And I could easily insert a comment here if I need to, or just go ahead and move him to this hiring manager review stage. Now here is a workflow helper for a task to review the resume and @mention HR with notes, which is assigned to the hiring manager. You'll see that I have the option to assign a due date to this, provide any extra notes if I need that, and then just go ahead and confirm the status change. So now I have this candidate here in that stage. Everything looks good with this, and I'm going to actually show you what it looks like if we were to move a candidate into a rejected stage. So with this, I'm going to click this drop down, and I'm going to move Omar into this not hired status here. So with this not hired status, this is an example of a workflow helper to send out a rejection letter to the candidate. So if you did not want to send this, you could just check this box. But we could go ahead and schedule this if, in the case, say that Omar just applied today and we don't want to offend him by sending him a rejection letter so soon. We do have the option here to schedule out this email up to 7 days in advance. So with this, I'm going to choose to send this out in 5 days from now. Confirm the status change. And then I'm going to go over onto the email section where you'll see that I have this rejection letter scheduled. And if I need to edit this, I could just click on here and click this edit icon to change that. Now, while we're on this email section, I just wanted to point out some of the functionality with the emails. If you were to start sending an email to a candidate through Jazz, it's automatically going to be logged as long as you originate the original email from Jazz. So if I click plus new email, I have the option to send this from my name or from the company's name. I could choose a template. Or just go ahead and add an email here. So as long as you are originating this email from Jazz, it's going to be logged within the candidate's profile. And if you do have any other emails that were not from Jazz originally and you did want to log them, you could use this candidate Dropbox and actually forward or BCC this email to this address in order to log this on the candidate's emails tab here. So now that we've gone ahead and actually screened this candidate, I'm going to go and show you how to search your candidate's database. So from here, I'm going to go onto the candidates page. And you'll see here that I have a pretty long list of all of the candidates within the account. But if I wanted to perform a search, I could just click this icon here. And this is our basic search, where you could search by name, keywords in resume, by a specific job, by a workflow status within that job, or by a category. And remember categories from the candidate's profile in the right side. This is a great way if you have candidates tagged with the category that you could easily pull them up with a search. You could also search by star ranking of a candidate here as well. You also do have the option to run a previously saved search within the account. Or if you're looking for some more information to kind of dig down a little bit further, you could click this advanced search option here as well. So from here, I do have the option again to run a search based on a job, the workflow status, and the star ranking. But I also do have these different profile filters here where I could filter by these specific fields such as maybe date applied. And then in the center, this is where you're going to set the criteria for the search. So I'm going to search for all candidates who have applied after August 1st. And if you need to add any other filters, just click Add Profile Filter and feel free to add those, or click this trash icon if you need to remove them. You do also have the option to search by custom question filters here as well. Now these tie into the questionnaires which we have added to a job. So with this, if I want to select a questionnaire, say that I'm looking for just a specific response on one of the questionnaires that we have built out. So I'm going to go to this general Jazz.co questionnaire, click Add Question Filter. I'm going to look for all candidates who have said yes, that they have been certified and they have applied after August 1st. Now I can click Search Candidates, and it's going to pull up all of the candidates which have responded to that question in the way that I was looking for. So you see that after I've performed the search, if I wanted to save this search, I could go ahead and add that to the account, so then you can easily run this search again later. Or I could go ahead and click this icon to edit any of the search information that I am looking for. So that about wraps things up today. And again, I wanted to thank you for joining the Starter Admin webinar today. And if you do have any other questions, you can feel free to click this icon here to go out to our knowledge base, which is a great resource for searching for any how-tos. This Jazz overview is a great article of just initial setup. And you also do have the link at the bottom, again, to contact our support team here as well. And so again, I wanted to thank you for joining the webinar today, and you all have a great day.